Right now, millions of people are interacting with a system that quietly reshapes how they work, how they learn, how they solve problems, and how valuable their time is in the modern economy. It does not announce itself as power. It does not arrive with uniforms or flags. It does not ask for loyalty. It simply integrates. People use it to write emails, to code software, to study for exams, to plan businesses, to make decisions faster than they ever could before. In offices, productivity expectations are silently shifting. In classrooms, learning curves are bending. In boardrooms, strategies are being rewritten around what this system makes possible. And none of this required a vote. No referendum, no global consensus, no public debate about whether this was the direction society wanted to take. It happened because it could. Governments are now adjusting policies because of it, not proactively, but reactively. Companies are restructuring entire departments, not because they want to, but because competitors already have. Entire career paths, once stable, once predictable, are being re-evaluated in real time. And yet, despite the scale of this transformation, most people cannot name the individual whose decisions accelerated it. Not a president, not a general, not a central bank chairman. Someone else. Someone operating outside traditional power structures. Someone who does not rely on authority, but on inevitability. Someone who does not shout, does not posture, does not promise protection or certainty. Someone who understands that the most powerful systems are the ones people adopt before they fully understand what they are becoming dependent on. By the time the world collectively realized what was unfolding, the system was already embedded, already normalized, already indispensable. So the question is not what is changing. That question is already outdated. The real question is, who decided it would? His name is Sam Altman. He is not a politician, yet presidents, prime ministers, and regulators seek his perspective. He is not a military leader, yet national security conversations now include the technologies he helped bring into existence. He is not merely a technology executive, yet entire industries now depend on systems directly tied to his work. Sam Altman does not present himself as the architect of the future. He avoids grand declarations and absolute predictions. Instead, he holds a quieter belief that the future will be shaped by those who arrive early, understand leverage, and are willing to build before consensus forms. He does not claim to control what comes next. He simply understands that someone will, and he intends to be ready when that moment arrives. To understand where the world may be heading, you first need to understand how Sam Altman learned to see systems, and how he learned to move inside them. Sam Altman was born in 1985 in St. Louis, Missouri. Not Silicon Valley, not New York, not a global center of innovation or finance. And that absence matters, because growing up outside power forces observation. You watch systems operate from a distance. You notice patterns rather than participating in momentum. St. Louis was stable, predictable, governed by routines. It was not a place of constant disruption. It was a place where rules existed and outcomes followed. Sam's upbringing was calm, quiet, structured. There was no urgency to escape and no instability to react against. And in that stillness, his curiosity turned inward toward understanding how order is maintained. At the age of 12, Sam received his first computer. For most children, a computer is entertainment. For Sam, it was architecture. He wasn't interested only in what it could do. He wanted to understand why it worked, why rules produced consistent results, why small changes in inputs could completely reshape outputs, and why some systems scaled effortlessly while others collapsed under their own complexity. This curiosity was not emotional, It was analytical. He wasn't chasing excitement. He was studying structure. And that distinction matters because people who are fascinated by structure often grow up to design it. This wasn't about computers. It was about control. Not control over people, but control over outcomes. Sam Altman grew up in a professional household. His father worked in real estate. His mother was a dermatologist. These are not background details. They are frameworks. Real estate teaches patience, leverage, and the idea that value often accumulates slowly and reveals itself over time. Medicine teaches precision, accountability, and the reality that small decisions repeated daily carry enormous consequences. Sam did not grow up around chaos or scarcity. He grew up around competence. Problems were solved methodically. Decisions were reasoned, not impulsive. Authority came from expertise, not emotion. That environment produces a rare trait: calm confidence. Sam never needed to perform for attention or prove resilience through struggle. Instead, he learned to think strategically. Many founders are driven by instability. They build as an act of survival. Sam Altman was shaped by clarity, and clarity allows patience. Patience allows timing, and timing, more than talent, decides who shapes systems at scale. As a teenager, Sam Altman came out as gay in a conservative Midwestern environment. This experience did not define him through trauma. It defined him through perspective. When you do not fully fit inside a system, you begin to see it more clearly. You notice how norms are enforced, who benefits from conformity, who adapts, and who is quietly excluded. Sam learned early that systems are not neutral. They are designed. Every rule reflects a choice. Every boundary reflects a priority. And anything designed can be redesigned. This realization stays with you. It teaches a subtle lesson. You do not need permission to question structure. You only need understanding. And understanding, when paired with leverage, is enough to reshape outcomes. Sam Altman enrolled at Stanford University to study computer science at a moment when the technology world was quietly accelerating. This was not the dot-com boom anymore. The excess had already collapsed. What remained was infrastructure. Startups were no longer experiments. They were becoming institutions. Around Sam, students were not just learning theory. They were building companies in dorm rooms and pitching ideas to investors before finishing assignments. Venture capital was not abstract. It was present, accessible, embedded into campus culture. But Sam noticed something others missed. Universities optimize for stability. They preserve knowledge. They reward correctness. Markets do not. Markets reward speed, timing, and those willing to act before information feels complete. Sam realized that classrooms teach you how systems worked in the past, while markets force you to understand how systems behave in real time. This was not a rejection of education. It was a recognition of mismatch. In 2005, Sam Altman left Stanford, not dramatically, not defiantly, but quietly. This decision is often described as a risk. It wasn't. Staying would have been the greater risk because the system outside the classroom was evolving faster than the one inside it. Sam Altman has always aligned himself with velocity. He does not wait for certainty. He waits for momentum. Sam's first startup, Looped, was not built out of desperation. It was built out of curiosity. The idea was elegant. Use location data to connect people in real time, turn geography into social signal, and collapse digital and physical interaction. Today, this logic feels inevitable. At the time, it was premature. Smartphones were still emerging. GPS accuracy was unreliable. Mobile data was expensive. Battery life was limited. Most importantly, user behavior had not adapted. People were not ready to share their location continuously. Looped raised funding, attracted attention, and survived longer than many startups, but it never became essential. And that distinction mattered. When Looped was acquired, it was not a celebration. It was closure. For Sam Altman, this experience was formative. He learned that markets do not reward foresight alone. They reward alignment between technology readiness, user behavior, infrastructure maturity, and distribution channels. Looped had vision, but it lacked timing. And timing, Sam learned, is not luck. It is system readiness. From this moment forward, Sam Altman stopped thinking like an inventor. He began thinking like an allocator. When Sam Altman became president of Y Combinator, his role changed fundamentally. He was no longer building one company. He was shaping thousands. Y Combinator was not just an accelerator. It was a selection mechanism. Every batch filtered ideas, founders, and futures. Sam observed founders at scale. He saw what broke people, what scaled, and patterns that individual founders never see. Some founders chased attention. Others chased leverage. Some built products dependent on trends. Others built platforms that defined them. And one pattern became impossible to ignore. The people who own tools rarely worry about employment, while the people who use tools eventually do. Labor creates value. Ownership captures it. This wasn't theory. It was repeated observation. Artificial intelligence, Sam realized, was about to accelerate this imbalance to historic levels. If intelligence itself could be scaled, then labor would no longer be the bottleneck. Ownership would be. That insight didn't make headlines, but it changed what Sam Altman would do next. In 2015, Sam Altman co-founded OpenAI with an ambitious promise. Artificial general intelligence should benefit all of humanity. The language was idealistic. The structure was unconventional. Open research, non-profit roots, shared progress. At the time, this seemed realistic. AI research was expensive but manageable. Models were small. Compute costs were high but not prohibitive. Then scale arrived. Models grew exponentially. Training costs exploded. Infrastructure demands surged. AI was no longer just software. It was capital-intensive infrastructure, data centers, custom chips, energy supply, global deployment. And infrastructure does not care about ideals. It responds to economics. OpenAI adapted not because values failed, but because reality intervened. The organization evolved structurally to survive the future it was creating. Sam Altman understood something many idealists resist. A compromised system that exists has more influence than a perfect system that collapses. This was not surrender. It was strategy. When ChatGPT launched, the initial reaction was curiosity. People tested it playfully, asked simple questions, and experimented. But something subtle happened very quickly. People stopped testing and started relying. What made ChatGPT different was not just accuracy, it was availability. It did not sleep, tire, or forget context. For the first time, cognitive effort could be outsourced instantly. Writing emails became faster. Coding became assisted. Planning became compressed. The barrier was no longer knowledge, it was imagination. This shift mattered because when thinking becomes cheap, expectations rise. Managers expect faster output. Companies expect fewer bottlenecks. Individuals are quietly expected to operate at augmented speed. This is not automation of labor. It is acceleration of cognition. And acceleration reshapes economics. Sam Altman understood immediately that this was not a product moment. It was an infrastructure moment. Whoever controlled access to scalable intelligence would shape productivity norms, and productivity norms eventually define value. In 2023, Sam Altman was removed from OpenAI. The announcement was brief, ambiguous, carefully restrained. There was no detailed explanation and no public indictment, just uncertainty. What followed was revealing. Employees reacted immediately. Partners moved quickly. The market responded decisively. This was not loyalty to a person. It was recognition of dependency. OpenAI had become too embedded to destabilize. Workflows depended on it. Institutions relied on it. Roadmaps assumed its continuity. When Sam Altman returned days later, the message was clear. Governance had collided with infrastructure, and infrastructure won. This moment demonstrated a new kind of power, not authority granted, but necessity created. The system could not pause. And systems that cannot pause shape outcomes regardless of intent. Despite the scale of his influence, Sam Altman remains unusually private. This is not accidental. In an era where power is often performed publicly, Sam Altman avoids spectacle. There are no viral moments engineered for attention, no carefully curated lifestyle narratives, and no constant presence in public discourse for its own sake. His personal life exists almost entirely outside the machinery of public validation. He has been in a long-term relationship with Oliver Mulherin, an Australian software engineer, but Sam rarely speaks about it, not because it is hidden, but because it is not leveraged. In modern culture, visibility is often mistaken for importance. Public figures are expected to convert personal moments into narrative capital. Sam Altman does the opposite. He treats privacy as insulation because attention has a cost. It creates pressure to perform, to simplify, to react instead of reflect. And reaction is dangerous when you are operating inside long-term systems. By keeping his personal life private, Sam protects decision-making clarity. He does not negotiate with public perception every time he makes a choice. He is not forced to maintain an image that limits his range of action. Sam Altman does not measure success by applause. He measures it by trajectory. People who chase validation anchor themselves to the present. People who avoid it are usually thinking far ahead. Sam Altman's support for universal basic income is often framed as political. It is not. It is structural. Artificial intelligence does not simply automate tasks. It alters the relationship between effort and output. When intelligence becomes scalable, human labor stops being the primary bottleneck. Productivity increases, costs decline, output multiplies. But wages do not scale the same way. This creates a fracture, not overnight, not dramatically, but quietly. Jobs become unstable before they disappear. Roles narrow before they vanish. Security erodes before collapse is visible. Sam Altman understands this pattern because he studies systems historically. Every major technological shift creates surplus, and every surplus forces a question: who absorbs the shock? UBI, in his view, is not a moral solution. It is a mechanical one, a buffer between exponential capability and human adaptation speed. Societies do not break when change happens. They break when change happens faster than people can reorganize their lives. Slowing AI is unrealistic. The incentives are too strong, the competition too global, and the momentum already locked in. Preparation becomes the only rational response. UBI is not about replacing purpose. It is about preserving stability long enough for new forms of purpose to emerge. That is how Sam Altman thinks, not in promises, but in transitions. Sam Altman is not trying to save the world. He is trying to arrive at the future first. He understands something history repeats relentlessly. By the time societies argue about consequences, the systems that create those consequences are already embedded. Debates lag reality. Institutions react slowly. Culture adapts even slower. But infrastructure moves forward regardless. Sam Altman does not ask whether artificial intelligence should exist. He assumes it will. The only question he seems to care about is who builds it, who governs it, and who owns it, because ownership determines outcomes long after intentions are forgotten. The future will not be decided by excitement or fear. It will be decided by structure. History will not ask whether Sam Altman was loved or criticized. It will ask something far simpler. Who was in position when the world quietly crossed the point of no return? And by the time that question is fully understood, the decisions will already have been made. AI-powered studio.